What's up, guys and gals? It's your boy Rick Martinez here, host of the No Soliciting Experience. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in. This is the first video YouTube podcast that I'll be doing. I know I've taken a break a little bit from, podcasting and doing all these different things, having guests on. But I want to thank all the followers, everybody who's listened to the podcast in the past. Moving forward, this will be the ideal way, having guests on, it being recorded on video and being posted to YouTube, and of course on all the other podcast platforms that are available, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, whatever it may be. My goal is to always deliver value first and to give back to the industry that has given me so much. So if you have guests in mind that you want me to interview and have on the podcast, please reach out. The best way to get a hold of me is, if you guys already know, on Instagram at NoSolicitingBruh. Just shoot me a DM who you guys want on the podcast, or if you are watching this and feel like you could be a guest on the podcast, please reach out. I would love to talk to you and see if we can get this arranged. So let's get on the podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited. We ran a podcast a while back. Then I had some trouble, some legal complications with the podcast team that I hired out. But better now that we saved the podcast for today. Yeah. Because from today till now, so much crap has happened. Yeah. And I think it's time for you to come on the podcast, kind of talk about it. And everybody loves you. Like, the amount of respect you hold in the industry is insane. So without further ado, Melissa Romiza, welcome. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. Stoked to be here.
Hell yeah. There's been a lot of moving stuff with you. You're all over the place.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of an intro of like who you are, kind of like where you started, like kind of like a Cliff Notes version.
Cool. Yeah. So started in solar back in 2017 with Ion, huge company.
Yep.
Started as a setter. I actually found solar on Indeed.com. Wow. No one brought me in. I wasn't recruited. I was a setter there for about 6 months. I absolutely fell on my face my first 2 months. I don't think I got my first sale until about week 7, but I got 3 sales in 24 hours, which was sick.
That's sick.
Worked my way up from setting. They said I had to do 10 sales in a month to move to closing, which I did. Moved into closing. I was a closer there for about another 6 months. And then I'll never forget, like, my first month I did like 4 sales. Second month I did 5 sales. Third month I did 12 sales. All self-gen, no leads. And that's when I was like, okay, cool, kind of ready for the next thing. So that's when I found Click. They allowed me to manage my own office, which was great. Worked my way up there from like just an office manager into a regional manager position. Brought in some really awesome, guys and girls to Click. We built our team to do about 100 deals a month, a little bit over some months, which was super fun. And then, this past year, I think a lot of people don't know what's going on. I think everyone just noticed a different logo on my shirt, and I kept it pretty quiet for a while. But I ended up leaving Click just more so for my own personal reasons. I'm in a position now where I think a lot of people know my name, and I wanted to grow beyond Colorado. People like, how do I work with you? I'm in Florida. How do I work with you? I'm in Texas. How do I work with you? I'm in Utah. And I was like, damn, I'd ask my owners, hey, how can we work with these guys? And they'd be like, well, they can move here. And I'm like, I can't get some of these people have families.
Yeah, for real.
Like, how do I get them out here? So I found an opportunity with Glide where, Glide can grow pretty much as big or as small as we want to go. We can bring other installers in. We can work in new markets. If the market's super successful, we can build installers there. So that was super attractive to me. Made the jump over here, which is a little bit different because Glide they don't just do solar. They also actually do alarms, which I'm not sure a lot of people know. Smart Home is our sister company. Yeah. But on top of that, they did like energy efficiency upgrades, and they have tax people, which is really cool. But also they have proprietary software, which was super cool to me. Yeah. Just seeing how the industry's shifting, and how much money companies are spending on certain things. Yep. As you move up, you're like, oh, you're paying for this proposal software. Oh, you're paying for this door knocking app. Oh, you're paying for this CRM. And it was really cool that Glide kind of brought all that under one roof for us. And I was like, that allows the reps to have a little bit more room in their red line because we're cutting costs in some places, but we've built it and it's ours. Yeah. And we can actually go out and sell that to other companies. So there's always a way for me to work with everybody at Glide, which I love. And at Click, it's like, oh, you don't want to sell solar? I can't work with you. It's like, oh, you don't want to come sell solar with us? Well, hey, do you have a welcome call? Hey, what are you using for software? Hey, what's your proposal software? Hey, what are you using for your site surveys? And there's always a way to work with people, which I love because I'm just like, I'm really great at building relationships. I know I'm never going to be able to work with every single person, but Glide has given me the opportunity to work with more people than I've been able to in the past. So now I've moved up from being basically a regional to like, it's kind of hard to say, but basically kind of like a VP of sales is how I'm acting right now.
Yeah.
So I've grown and opened an office in Massachusetts, opened an office in Florida, and I opened the Colorado market, and then Shaleb has brought in like the Ohio market and the Arizona market. So that's been really, really cool. We're kind of like the Glide Direct. So Glide can act as like an installer in most states just for dealers, but they wanted to build like a direct program, which is like what I love about companies.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you want to help us build that? And I was like, absolutely. So kind of going back, starting 2017, here we are in 2024, about going on 8 years in the industry. And man, we've seen a lot change in the last couple of years. So it's wild what it is now.
I remember the first text I was put in, shout out to Mel. You remember Mel?
I think so.
Yeah, she put us in a group thread maybe like a year or two ago.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's a kill.
Yep. And she's like, she will be one of the most badass women in the industry. And I was like, okay, dope. And at the time, like, you were just like, I think you were at Click already, and you were just going. And it's like, we never were able to schedule something.
Yep.
So it's crazy to see. Like, that's been almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's wild. So what I love the most is the fact that now you're seeing the benefit in one direct. I've been saying forever that the dealer model is dead.
It's dying.
It's dying.
Yep.
It's so bad. Like, we just saw, who just went out? ADT went out.
Yep.
Suntuity. Soulfinity. Who else went out? Eurus. All these installers are going out. Yep. It's so dumb. There's a lot of things that I want to cover, and I think you are mature enough, and you are, this is almost bad, but I think people lack common sense.
Big time.
And it just comes down to if the business is profitable. You said it right then and there. It's like, now that you have your own proprietary software, you're able to have more wiggle room in the red line.
Yep.
Which means that you're able to pay your reps more.
Yep.
You're able to cut costs, keep more stuff in-house, and it just makes sense.
Big time. It's been a game changer, you know? So many companies are spending money on like they can't afford to pay their reps really well, but they're paying for a social media person. It's like, bring that in-house.
Yeah.
Like, stop spending, $7,000, $10,000 a month. Like just there's like these really little finite things that people don't think about, like the door knocking software that you guys, that your company's paying for. Maybe they're paying for it. Maybe the company's putting on their paycheck. I just talked to a girl yesterday who the company makes her pay $50 every month to use a door knocking app. I'm like,
why?
What the heck?
Yeah.
But it's so the company can cut the costs and keep themselves healthy. So at the end of the day, like, there's give and take to it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if the company's not healthy, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
And there's some companies that are just like taking really calculated risks. High risk. I think we all know who I'm talking about here, but they've taken a lot of risks this year. There's a lot of big companies, and it's like one tumble and you're gonna fall hard. Yeah. So it's been interesting to see.
Okay. One of the things that I actually really liked about what you said is prior to leaving Click, you saw your worth. You saw your value. Today, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it in the industry. Everybody wants to be a closer. Everybody wants the titles. Oh,
all the time. Everybody wants to be a manager or a closer or whatever,
For you, being that I don't see you as a very prideful person. It's it's humble to a sense, right? But you also know where you stand, and you know that, hey, like, you're out of your limits sometimes, and you know that you just have to grow into it. At what point did you realize that you were ready for the next thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was really funny because I think once like people started like seeing my name and like then actually getting in competitions, because at first like I thought what I was doing, like a lot of people were doing it, right? And then like I started competing in Knockstars, and I was like, okay, number one Knockstar. Okay, I won this one. And then I started being like, oh, I'm doing things a lot of people aren't doing. Like, I am in the 1%.
Yeah.
And I never saw it that way because, like, a lot of the companies I've worked for, they've always, like, kind of kept you in this bubble. Yeah. They don't want you to see the solar cons or the door-to-door cons or the whatever, And that's when I started noticing, like, everybody was hitting me up, like, hey, you inspire me. Hey, this. Oh, we just watched your training. Oh, we'll pay you to train us. Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay, interesting. Like, and everybody would always ask me, and I could never really answer this question, like, why do you work for such a small company when, like, now you can grow? And I was like, oh, like, my CEOs really love me. They look out for me. Like, they're always going to take care of me and my family. But it gets to a certain point where, like, you have to do what's best for you. And if your biggest thing is to grow and you're in this bubble and you've, like, maxed out the size of the bubble, it's like, I'm going to go find a bubble that's this big and have this little tiny pin in it, and I can grow inside of that bubble. But I felt like I'd maxed that out and there was no room left for me to grow. Like, I basically grew as big as I could for what I was getting. You know, it's like a shoe. Like you're a 9-year-old kid, you're wearing a pair of 6 shoes and you're going to wear those. You can't wear them for the rest of your life. You got to get into the next shoe type of situation.
I love that. I think, yeah, so many people, I mean, I'm sure you take calls where people are like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be this. I came from this industry and I did this. What does that mean for working with you guys? Like, I don't know. Just come in and work and we'll see where you go.
Yeah. It reminds me of the line that Devin Anderson said, actually, where he said, leaders aren't historians, they're activists.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to be a leader because they did X, Y, Z 10 years ago. And it's like, cool, man. A lot's changed.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now to show you're a leader?
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, oh, I want this title, I want that title. And that's why we have such a strict progression path at Glide. It's like, are you recruiting?
Yeah.
You're like, anybody can sell.
Yeah.
I think we all know that.
Yeah.
Like closers are a dime a dozen. Everybody's like, I'm the best closer. I've closed 50, 60. What? Dude, there's so many of those guys that if you just put appointments in their calendar, they're going to lock them down.
Yeah.
But how many guys are going to grow the team, be super supportive of the team, take guys out to train them, you know, and like duplicate yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing is like, you got to duplicate yourself before you can move into any position. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
well, I've done this. And it's like, well, who have you built?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit that you've done 50 deals. If you haven't made anybody else that can do that, it doesn't matter to you. You're not a leader.
Yeah. 100%. You always have those one-off people that can just do it, but then you ask them to break it down and they can't. That's why we have like the sales trainers that we do. Like in the category of like people that are replicatable, McCarthy, you, Taggart, Blake Randall, Sully, shoot, who else is up there? Pessy's up there. Shit, I always forget about Pessy. O'Donnell.
Oh, yeah. I love Mike. He's like one of the best balls in my life.
He's like everyone's grandpa.
Yes.
Legit everyone's grandpa. But they are the top of the top because they don't only do that, but they've trained other people to do it, right? Like you have your people who came in, right? Like Kayla's been with you from day one. Who else you have? You have Cass, right? People who are performing, and it's not that they just do it because they can. They do it because you gave them the tools and the resources and the 1, 2, 3s of what to do and how to do it. Yeah,
and it's funny. Like I brought people in who have never done solar. Like, dude, Kayla, I've had 2 unicorns ever. 2 unicorns. One, her name was Margaret, and this girl came in. I'll never forget. She had never done solar. She did art sales, and she never even asked how to be a closer ever. She was just like, "Oh, I'll come in, work. This money seems great." Her first 6 sets sit and sold, and I'll never forget walking out of that 6 house and turning around and be like, "You want to close your own deals?" And she was like, "Heck yeah!" I'm like, "Meet me at the office." Like straight from that appointment, went down to the office, and then Kayla came in. And Kayla was a teacher before she came into solar.
Really?
Yeah. In her first month, she did 10 deals. I moved her into closing. And like her best month, I think she's done like 18 or 19, maybe 20. But like that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like she won a Golden Door this past year. She had over 100 installs, which was just like, it's just crazy to see. Like you can come from being a teacher. You can come from working at a restaurant. And absolutely crush it. I honestly prefer those people than everybody who's been in the industry and wants to, you know, to have this dick measuring contest. I'm this much better than that person, and I should have this position, and I'm going to bring this many reps, and then they show up alone. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely duplicated a couple people that can do what I do, and like I'm pushing them into like running their own offices now, and like building their own teams. And like, they're recruiting. Like Kayla has 2 recruits here with her right now. Like they don't work with us, but they're coming to work with us. You know? And she did that. I had nothing to do with that. She completely did it on her own.
Okay. 2 things that I love about what you said there, and I don't think many people realize it, but this is, as you know, talk to a lot of people. I know a lot of people, right? When I call, people pick up my calls. And one of the things that I've learned from some of the best leaders is they don't take credit for other people's stuff. Like you just teach them what to do. They do it for themselves, and you're like, that's them. That's them. I just gave them the tools and the resources. They did it, and now they're thriving. It's almost as if you want to build people up so you can put them in the spotlight.
100%. That's the whole goal this year. You know, everyone's like, how many sales are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to create this many Golden Door awards. It's not about me. You know, like everybody wants to like go into solar to make this much money for themselves or their family. And they forget about like, what about your reps? Like I've done a lot of my goals. Everyone's like, oh, all your goals are about other people. Like, what do you want for you? I'm like, that is for me. If I can create that, that's for me. You know, like that's been one of my listings. Every year I have like a certain amount of Golden Door Award winners I want to have within my company that I help train to get there. And then like, if they can do that, they can do the same thing. You know, I think we'll have the most girls out of any company on stage collecting Golden Doors. Will be 3 of us.
For sure. Badass.
Badass, you know, like that's really cool. And like, that's something I'm super proud of, you know, like no one had done that before. I don't think.
No, as far as I know, in one organization, no. Which is actually, that's super respectable. And 2,
and we're all girls. That's crazy.
That's true. Girls, and then that's the thing. I think that's what people didn't realize is what you had built at your previous company was a bunch of badass women, right? And actually, like, I mean, we're in Brandon and Alex's office. Like, shout out to them for letting us use their space. But Alex is one of those badass women in the industry.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there's just pillars in all these different areas, but not a group or not like a tribe. And that's what you're creating.
Yeah.
You're creating a tribe of women that perform at a high level, at like the top 5%, top 1% of the industry. And it's not just one person in one company over here, over there. It's like you guys have your own little tribe, which is super dope.
Yeah, we're not trying to be the biggest. Like, everybody like wants to be like, we're going to be the biggest company or we're the greatest this. And it's like, I will never make those claims. Like, you'll never hear me make those claims. But the thing is that it's something that we have. And I'll even say this on the phone with recruits, and they think I'm joking. But I'm like, we are a family. Like, most of us live together.
Yeah.
Jay Sean over here lived with me at one point. You know, like, I've brought my guys and they see how I live.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not just like they're going to see what I do in the office or what I do on the doors. Like, they're going to see what I'm doing outside the doors and when I'm slipping up. Because Jay Sean's seen it. Like, I do slip up. And sometimes, like, my routine is off. Yeah. But, like, I think that's important because your guys see, like, the real you. Yeah. You know, everyone, like, sees these idols and they're like, oh, I have to do, like, X, Y, Z of what they're doing. And everybody sees what they see on Instagram or what they see on Facebook or on TikTok. There's so much that goes unseen in this industry. 100%. So much. And 100%. It's not talked about. And, like, that's one of the coolest things. Like, my guys have seen it. Most of them have lived with me at some point. Yeah. And, like, we don't have the biggest team, but I promise you, I tell everybody this, but, like, when you get in the room, my guys, like, you're going to feel it. Yeah. Like, we have a bond and a connection that it's not duplicated. It's not something you can teach somebody. No, 100%. You know? And that's, the connection it's why I stay with these guys. Like, these guys, a lot of them followed me from the last company. I didn't even ask them to. I didn't even try to recruit any of them, you know? And, like, you all know how it is. Companies like, I'm going to sue you. And it's like, you can go through my text messages. You can go through my emails. I told all of them to stay freaking quiet. You're the one who told them to leave. Yeah. You know, you have 24 hours to make this decision. Like, you could have kept those people a lot longer and they would have fed your company for a bit longer. For real. And that's one of the things one of the things I resonated super hard with is the fact that you guys have like a family vibe. And it's not like this toxic thing of like, yeah, we're family, right? And it's like they take advantage of each other at companies. It's like, no, it's like, it's legit, it's genuine. I could tell because that's what I have with my guys in Waco. It's called the Waco family. So legit, every sales rep, and if they have a girlfriend or wife, they're on that thread. If anybody needs anything, we show up for them. Yep. Like this last, 2 weeks ago, there was like a cold friend in Texas. And Tavita, the owner, I am not sure if you met him. I don't think I've met him yet. Big guy. He's the guy behind the scenes. He's the guy who basically created everybody. All the guys were on the blitz, and he went and he bought firewood he bought a ton of firewood and went to every house where the husband was out on the blitz, and he dropped off stuff at their house. Wow. And that's just what we do. We take care of each other. And that sounds like what you guys do. And it creates a sense of loyalty and a sense of no matter what, they trust you and they know, and I know that you're going to do everything that's in the best benefit for them, even if it costs you monetarily, emotionally, physically. And I know that it has, but that's just what leaders do. Yeah. And I said to you earlier, but like, you got to pay to play in this game sometimes, especially leaders. Leaders have to pay to play. Yep. And if you're not paying to play, you're not a leader. Yep. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And sometimes you put your chips on the wrong person and it blows up in your face. But like sometimes you get like this one guy or one girl and like you change, you're part of changing their lives and like the trajectory of everything. You know, like most of my guys don't have college degrees. Yeah. Like some of them didn't graduate from high school. Some of them didn't come from the best background. But what they do know is like, if they need me, I'm there. You know, like no matter what, I'll stop and drop what I'm doing. I will give up appointments. I'll do, like, you know what I mean? The money for me in solar isn't it. It's like building something beyond myself. Yeah. And that's been like my biggest thing trying to move into this next year. And sometimes it's really hard. You have hard days. And you're like, wow, why did I do this? Why did I make a switch? And then like, you have to come back to like, this is why. Like I was so complacent. I was so comfortable. Like this past year, I've been more uncomfortable than I've ever been. And that just tells me I'm growing. Yeah. But dude, sometimes it fucking sucks. Yeah. I'm going to be the first one to say it that like getting uncomfortable is one of the best things you can do for yourself, but sometimes it feels like you're like dying inside. Yeah. Like, I'm so unfamiliar with this feeling. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. This is all new to me. But I'm very grateful for my guys. I'm super grateful for people like Jay Sean. Like he's become one of my best friends, Cass, Caleb, Brandon, you know, Alexia, all those guys. And there's been people that, you know, we got a girl on our team and we worked actually at Click together.
Yeah.
And she ended up going to another company, and she was with them actually for like all the way up until she came back when we came to Glide, and she was like, hey, I really want to work with you again. And I was like, perfect. Yeah, let's rock and roll. So like sometimes guys will also leave and then they'll come back, which I'm sure you've had happen.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. They leave. I support them, which it sounds like you do too. It sounds like you don't burn bridges.
No, I try not to.
Yeah.
You know, and if the bridge gets burned, I try not to burn it on myself.
Yeah, exactly. If any bridge gets burned, for us, it's on the other end, never on our end.
Yep.
That's dope. Because so many people, I mean, you've heard it. You leave, you get sued, and you thought that they were your
best friend,
friends.
Family. You know, they really are looking out for you. And then you realize when you're not making the money anymore that where the priorities were.
Yep. Shit. If I can go back, yeah. But that's the thing. That's just what we do. Fuck, the amount of money I lost.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Dude, if we
have
the money that's owed in the door-to-door industry from people leaving companies,
we could probably clear the freaking national debt.
dude, we're talking tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Probably more. Honestly, probably more.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts to think about. Like, we could be in the billions if you think about, like, full companies, like, and under. Like, think about, like, Oric back in the day, Empire, like, all these guys, like, all the money that was owed. If you added all of that up.
Where'd they go, though?
That's a great question.
Fuck.
I think a lot of companies are suing back for that money now, too, because they paid some out to the reps, they paid for their company, they paid for their guys, you know, and then the company's like, we gave you money, there was no result, we need it back.
Yeah.
I know it's happening right now with a couple of companies.
Yep. It's happening right now with finance companies. Like the whole clawback thing right now.
Oh, yeah, you don't get PTO in a certain amount of days. You can even have glass on the roof.
Yeah.
And if you don't get PTO, they're going to take that money back, and then the installers, and they're like, oh, shit.
Yep.
You know?
But that's why you don't go with an EPC.
Yeah.
That's what it is. EPCs, I wouldn't say never, but majority of companies that have gone out have been an EPC model.
Yep.
So.
Installing for other dealers, and then they're like, oh, we're crushing 150 installs, and then one of their teams leaves, and there goes half their production, and then they don't fire people or let go of people, and then the company's in a really bad position. So, yeah, we've seen it all at this point, I feel like, but I think this year is You got to have a license in California.
Yep.
You got to have one, I'm pretty sure, in Connecticut now.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I would say in most of the blue-leaning states, you have to.
Yep.
And I think it's just going to be something that's going to just keep coming. But, I mean, if you're prepared for it,
it's fine.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you're an ethical sales rep, you shouldn't be upset by it. Now, if you're with a shady company, a shady salesperson, or you're lying about the tax credits, like, your life is about to change for the worse because you didn't learn how to sell the right way.
Yep. And guess what? Your name is on those contracts.
Yep.
That's what people don't know. If it really gets that bad, I don't think you guys realize it, but it's you. It's your name. It's your name. You count your name. You counter something. Your name is on that contract. And especially GG's to any solar rep who doesn't have an LLC or any sort of like protection legally.
Silliest thing we could do. Government will come take your house, they'll take your money, they'll take whatever. You know? But I think that's something that the industry has gotten better about is like educating. Because my first 2 years in solar, I didn't even know you were supposed to get an LLC.
Yeah.
I had no idea I didn't get an LLC till like year 4 in solar.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. No one taught it to me. My company didn't teach it to me. Like we talk about it every year at the beginning of the year to our guys.
Hey, do it. And if they don't, I mean, it's just on them.
Yeah. But yeah, if you get in trouble, like I think what you were saying, like when you hit the send docs button, a lot of reps don't know their name is on that contract. It's on the HIC or the AI or whatever you call it at your company. But that was another reason, dude. When I was at Click, like I'd have happy customers. I remember this one customer, her name was Catherine, or Kathy. She lived like 2 minutes down the road. She lived like 2 minutes down the road from me. And I remember her like, when she was going through her loan doc, she's like, oh, you didn't tell me that I have to reapply my tax credit to him loan. I'm like, yes, I did. Talk about having home. She's like, nope, you didn't. And I was like, hey, I actually recorded my conversation in the house with you. If you go to minute 28 and 14 seconds, you'll hear when I talk about it. And she's like, I can't believe you recorded me in my house. And I was like, it's for my protection. You know, my company didn't offer a welcome call. That was for my protection, you know, but like, God, that's something that's going to change. You're going to see people getting more welcome calls and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been off the doors for a while. That's nuts.
Yeah. You get on the phone Mosaic and they're usually like from overseas.
Yeah, for real.
Like,
It's like
oh my God, please don't mess this up.
Yeah, for real. But the thing is don't mess this up for me. But that's the mindset you have if you didn't explain it correctly.
Yeah.
Granted, like the English and their English doesn't help, but you know, if you set everything up, if expectations were set clearly, you have nothing to worry about.
Exactly. You're like, you know, you signed a loan for $40,000, and you know, if you don't put in payment by month 18, that payment goes up, and people are like, huh? And you're like, we already talked about this. Then you have to like re-explain it, which I honestly like welcome calls now. Like that's a huge thing. Glide has their own welcome call software, and I love it. It's all AI generated. I don't have to call in. It's an app on my phone. It looks like a literal human, but the coolest thing is like a lot of these welcome calls are over the phone. So someone can be like, oh, that wasn't me, or whatever. Yeah. When you get them on video and their face has to stay in the camera, if they move their face out of it, it stops. So they have to put their face back in. You can't be like, you're going to tell me that's not you on the camera? You know? And that's actually saved us on a couple deals. We've had homeowners be like, I didn't know I signed a loan. And we're like, we literally asked you if you knew that you were signed a loan for 25 years with this lender. And the interest rate that you signed at. You know? I'm like, oh, never mind. You know?
Big people just forget. People just forget, and then they get so happy. But, always do welcome call or protect yourself, like record yourself in the
protect
house.
yourself, record yourself in the house, upload it to an external, and just keep all of your customers. That's
the thing is, if you proper preparation prevents poor performance, and it also helps you on the back end. The back end is where everybody gets screwed. And I don't think people understand that. Like, let's be real, everybody in this industry is at some point or another on the spectrum. They visit it, but a lot of people kind of reside there long term, and they're just fucking stupid. And they set themselves up for failure, and then something happens down the road, and they're just going to be fucked. So do yourselves a favor, start preparing now, because if not, you're going to hate yourself later.
Yeah, and like the reason, like when you record yourself too, it's not just to protect yourself, but it's to learn. Like you should be listening to yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
You're going to hear the ums, the uhs, the likes, the what if, you know, like the ands instead, or the buts instead of ands, and things like that. That you're like, oh, okay, shouldn't have said that. Yeah. You can usually find out why the deal didn't close or why it did close based on what you hear. Yeah. You know? And that's one of the ways I got really good is to just listen to myself. The first year I listened to like everything. It's like fall asleep listening to it.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Which segues into the next thing. You've gotten really good really fast. Is that one of the things that you did, was just listening to yourself over and over again to see where you messed up, where you could have gotten better?
And coaching. I think we all know it. It's not, it's like, everyone's like, what's the secret sauce? Get a coach. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you see people that want to get in insane shape, they go and get a trainer. Like, if you see anybody in any sport that wants to get really, really good, they had a really great coach. Like, why do you think the Patriots did so damn well for a while? Like, yes, Tom Brady was a beast, but Bill Belichick is a hell of a coach. You know? So, like, I went out and I got coached by Danny and by Taylor and those guys. And, like, shout out to Taylor and Danny, because I take so much of what they have said and I've just implemented it in my own ways. And I use their one-liners and I use their slicks in every house. And that's really how I got good, is like I surrounded myself with really, really high caliber salespeople, and I knew I never wanted to be at the bottom of the leaderboard ever. And I'd say that was the biggest thing. It wasn't just like, yes, you can do the 1% things, like listening to yourself, switching some words up, your presentation, actually like dressing to impress. Like I used to only wear sweatpants back in the day. Like my superlative, my first 3 years in solar was most likely to sell a deal in sweatpants and slippers. Like I would wear slippers, like moccasins, into a homeowner's house and close deals. But I was never closing over 100 deals a year. Like now I'm closing 200-300 deals a year. And it is from the one-liners. It is from using the slicks, the 1%er things, creating my own slicks, dressing nice, showing up on time. Like those little things make a huge difference. And as soon as you can figure that out, like having the right habits, having the right schedule, all those things add up. And I'm not saying you guys have to implement all of those at once, but like once you get a coach, they're going to find your weak points and they're going to help you improve on them.
I think what I want to highlight from there is the fact that you took from your coaches, made it you. You're not taking on somebody else's persona. No. You take what they teach you, you make it your own, and then you just take that and become the best version of yourself. Yep. I think so many people, kind of going back onto this culture thing, is they try to be like, shout out to all the companies who have great culture, but some of those cultures, I'm sure you've seen, they're like, that's not it.
Yep.
How do I say this without calling them out?
It's hard.
It's hard. It's so hard. It's so hard.
I think we can say that there are people out there who like want to be the next sales page, right? And try to be the tailors or the Dannys, like using their exact lines, their exact slicks, their exact whatever, like trying to make it theirs instead of like truly making it their own. You know, like actually Taylor and Danny have taken lines from me. Like you'll hear Danny use a line like, "Oh, I just hate the way solar looks," and I'm like, I totally understand. Going solar is definitely not a fashion statement, but. Quick question for you, Rick. Do you look at your roof more than you look at your bank account, or do you look at your bank account more than you look at your roof? Danny got that from me.
Yeah.
You know, there was another one Taylor used that was my line. I'm trying to remember what it was. But, like, we bounced off of each other and made things our own. And, like, there's certain lines that, like, Taylor has, like, sure, you're trying to justify away for paying more for something when you don't need to.
Yep.
Like,
love that line.
Great line.
Yeah.
But if you don't say it with the right pauses, the right tonality, you're off the door so fast.
Oh, my God.
You know, like, you smart ass. And you're like, sorry.
Yeah, 100%. But I think I have a question, and it's kind of like if you could dumbify in the simplest way possible what sales is, what would that be?
A transfer of energy. Like literally, like at the end of the day, everyone's like, "Oh, everyone's gonna go solar because it's logical." Solar's the most emotional sale you can buy. People really buy you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need to like you, they need to trust you. Those two things, if those don't happen, you're never getting the sale.
Yeah.
I can promise you that. Sales is built on trust, you know, and like making it logical enough where you can start to mess with, like, not to mess with their emotions, but to change their emotion.
Yeah.
And once you see that emotion go up, like, oh shit, oh, they're scared, oh, this, that, close. You know, and then bring the emotion back down, stay in the house. But really, so like selling it's a transfer of energy. Like if you go into a house and your energy is low and you're telling yourself, this makes no sense. Like, I wouldn't buy this if this was my house. They're not going to do it. That's why, like, when I go into a house, I'm like, they would be silly not to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're going solar. Unless they fail credit on me right now, they're going solar. You know? And that's what I would say. I don't know what you would say, but...
It's very simple. It's just efficient communication. Yeah. Like, for me, like, I understand, like, the emotion side, like, I can build it, but ultimately it just comes down to just communicating efficiently. Kind of like what you said earlier. It's... If you don't use the right tonality, the right pauses with that one-liner from Taylor, you're getting kicked off. Yep. But I think a lot of people, what I've seen more, and everybody who tags me in this stuff, of like them getting kicked off the doors, especially solar people, it's like, what, do you not like saving money? Are you opposed to saving money? Is that just what it is? I think people who say that are absolutely stupid. One of the things that I had established, or I had come up with my girlfriend we drove from California to Texas after New Year's and the holidays. And one of the things that I came up with is like the 3 pillars of effective communication, right? And it's what you mean, how you say it, and how it's perceived. So many people, us in sales, were like, oh, this makes absolutely, like, it's a no-brainer, right? Mm-hmm. But they get in the house and the customer doesn't understand it because we're not explaining it in a way that when they perceive it, it makes sense for them.
Well, it comes down to asking questions, though, normally.
True, yeah.
Like, when people start talking at people, and they're like, well, this is what I said in the last house to make it close. And it's like, you have 4 different types of buyers. And sometimes, like, they're 2 different types of buyers. Like, they're, like, super analytically aggressive buyers. Yeah. Or, like, super thoughtful social buyers, you know? Like, so, like, asking the right questions, I think that's one of the biggest things in sales that I just don't see salespeople doing enough of, is just asking the right questions. So if you ask the right questions, you can control that conversation in any direction you want it to go.
Do you feel like your closing process is more, do you go in with a script, or do you go in with like bullet points of like what you're going to say, and then it's just based off of conversation?
I say the same thing in almost every house, but I ask the right questions. Like literally, like as soon as I walk into a house after we've broken it down, like I start with a question like, hey, is this your first time getting one of these, or have you seen one before? Right there is going to tell me.
Oh, okay, yeah,
you looked at solar before. Okay. Oh, no, I haven't. Cool. No matter what the answer is, I'm going to walk you through this like you've never seen it before. Okay. No matter what the answer is, but I know, because if they say, oh, I've looked into it, what happened? How come the panels aren't up there? What happened? Like, genuinely, like, not like, why didn't you do it? Yeah. Why is a bad combative word? Yeah. What happened?
Okay.
How come? Mm-hmm.
So you are, okay, which I'm assuming you get very little objections or kickback at the end.
Yep. I literally have a full pre-frame. I go through all the regularly asked questions before I even open my iPad. And if they have more questions, I'm going to answer them then. I know before my iPad's open or closed if I'm closing the deal.
Okay. And that's because you're gathering information and you're getting all the objections out of the way.
Yeah.
And you know what objections will come up based off of how they answer the questions. I think so many people, let me be real. How many people message you is like, hey, what do you do to overcome this objection?
All the time. But the reason they're getting that objection is because something they said before. It's you steer the direction, like people like, oh, like objection this, objection that. Like Sam was like, I wanted to go through your whole solar pitch. And I know people are going to be like, well, what about this objection? And it's like, I've steered this conversation in the correct way where I don't get that objection. I rarely get objections. It's a very, very rare thing, but like if you ask the right questions, you know what they need to hear. How come? What happened? Oh, well, the last guy that came by wanted to, lease on my roof and I would never do that. If I ever did solar, I'd want to own it. Okay, throwing away the PPA option. Yep. He doesn't need that one. We're going to go to ownership and I'm going to show him that one option. I'm going to build a lot of value on ownership because he's a guy who likes ownership. And you can ask a couple more questions too, like asking questions is going to get you the sale every time. Yeah. And not enough people do it. Or they just don't know the right questions to ask. So that way they're in control of the conversation. Because as soon as you have homeowners asking you the questions, you've lost control. You should be the one that's asking questions.
Take note of that. Seriously. I love that. That's one of the things that I work with Blake a lot, and it's the same thing. Like, I've been, very frustrating when we hear, oh, well, this objection, this objection, this objection. And in our mind, it's like, I don't get that. I get other stuff, but that's because I set myself up for that.
Yeah, and like, usually they're not even like, people sometimes mistake like a genuine concern for an objection. Like, well, we don't know how long we're going to be in the house. That's not an objection. That's a concern. And like a smoke screen. Like, I'm just not interested. There's no substance behind that. That is a smoke screen. So, like, being able to negate those things and be like, okay, that's real, that's not, is super important. But man, I could talk forever on like all the different questions that you could ask homeowners to put them, that don't feel like they're at the driver's seat. Really, it's like when you put the kid in the front seat, give them like the fake wheel, there's no pedals or anything. But they're holding the wheel and they're like, this is great. They're like, yeah, totally. You're totally driving this car right now, buddy. Like, when really I am. I'm the one hitting the gas, I'm the one hitting the brake, and I'm the one using the horn and turning the wheel. But not enough people know how to do those things.
What would you say, because it sounds like you're very, at least from conversations that I have with my reps, it feels as if they're too emotionally unstable. They go in, they're super tense in these deals. Like, you seem calm, cool, and collective.
Yeah, I go in every time and I'm just like, it's not like, yes, it's a deal in my head, but like I never go in being like, oh shit, like we have to put this 60% off. So like, I don't even think about it. No matter what, this is awesome, guys. This is great. This looks awesome. But you gotta like keep yourself calm, cool, and collected because homeowners can sniff that shit out. They can tell that your heart rate's going up. They can tell that you're shaking. They can tell that you're tapping your leg. They can tell that you're fiddling with stuff, playing with your hair. It's like, and I've noticed myself doing that too. Like, I try to always like keep an open posture. I try not to like fiddle around too much. And I think that's important too. Like you're doing right now. Like this, but I caught it. Like a lot of people won't even like videotape themselves in the house. But now that I have a camera guy and I videotape myself in the home, I know like people don't understand how important body language is. Because you could tell them this is great. Like, I would totally do this if this was my, like, hell no. You're like, guys, this is awesome. You see how like my stance just opened up instead of like I closed myself up. Like, people don't get those things. It's huge.
Ooh, shit. I don't know why people aren't doing this. Makes absolute sense.
I don't know how many times like we used to tell our reps to go in the bathroom and they would turn their phone instead of like doing selfie mode because everyone can see themselves. Set your phone up like this and then get up in front of it and pitch to your phone. You can't see what you're doing. And then before you look at it, I want to give me the phone. I'm gonna look at it. And I'm gonna write down some things I noticed and I want you to look through and tell me what you noticed. I was like, yeah, dude, you kept on your hands in your pockets. You were swaying back and forth. You were tipping your, rubbing your forehead a lot. Like this, guys do this all the time. I've noticed that this is the guys like awkward thing. They just got to touch their head or something. Take off the hat, slick the hair back, put it back on. It's like a nervous habit. And as soon as you can break those nervous habits, you can be so much chiller in a house without even having to act like you're chiller. Like you just naturally are.
Ooh, this is fun.
Yeah.
That is fun. So we see you now as you are, right? Mm-hmm. As this like, how would you say it? Icon, role model, leader, influence, up there in the up there with the goats. Mm-hmm. What did Melissa look like when you first started?
Dude, I was like this tomboy. I still am a tomboy, but like had no idea what they were doing. I could have never spoke 5-6 years ago to you the way I'm talking today, but a lot of it's just from experience of like getting my teeth kicked in. I didn't have much help at my first company. I literally used to go out with this guy, Brennan Pierce. Brennan Pierce, I went out with him like every day. And that's who I'd go out and knock with. And like, he was my crutch for a while. I had a crutch. Mm-hmm. I think everyone gets a crutch at the beginning. But he was really good at the job and he hated people. I was like, if this guy hates people, he can do that well. I love people. Yeah. I love them. I want to talk to people all day. Like, I'm going to crush it. But I wasn't really necessarily like confident. Like, I didn't have the conviction of like, they're going to do this. This is a deal no matter what. Mm-hmm. You're just like, I'm just going to go talk to people. Mm-hmm. If I talk to enough people, somebody will sign up. Like, now I'm in the mindset, like my mindset has shifted of like, I just have to go talk to this many people to like, this would be silly for homeowners not to do. And it's getting to the point now where the utility company can say no. And I feel this urgency of like, if I don't help them, either somebody else will, or they're just not going to be allowed to get it. Yeah. And I've seen it happen. I don't know if you guys are getting that in Texas yet, where customers are getting shut down from solar. Like you'll sell them, you'll get the site survey done, and then you send in the application to the utility and say there's not enough room on the transformer. And that they can wait either a year or pay X amount of dollars to upgrade the transformer on their own dime.
No, we haven't had that yet.
But that's happening. And
really?
Yeah, dude.
That's so nuts.
Excel Energy, and I'll be helping you in the design process regarding your solar equipment at blah, blah, blah address. The distribution transformer and secondary conductor serving this premise are unable to accommodate additional DC due to secondary voltage rise.
Oh, so there's too much solar in that area, yeah.
Shut down. Can't do it.
17 killies.
Yep.
Go.
And that's something I'm going to be talking about on my panel, so you'll have to come see. And I called them. I was like, look, this is super, super smart for the Colorado market. Like, I want to come see it, but it's happening. And people like, you hear Taylor say, oh, if the utility company denies this application, you can't go solar. It's happening. Like, it's happening to us in Colorado. It's like, Colorado's a great market. I'm like, you know? And, like, there's capacity maps now where you can see, like, I can't even go sell solar in some parts of Colorado. And Will's probably running into it with Monument. You could ask him. He can't sell solar there. All their transformers are maxed out where he knocks.
Really?
All of them. He cannot sell there.
So if that's where, because there's a big push right now for Colorado. Everyone's going out there.
Yep.
You got Devon, Ion's out there. They're big out there. Huge. You're out there. We're down in Springs looking to expand a little bit north.
Hefra. There's so many
companies.
Aptiv. Anybody with Freedom's out there. Solar Pros.
Oh, I forget about them.
Oh, how can you? They sell what, like a megawatt or 2 megawatts or 2 megawatts a week with their 125,000 teams that they have. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. They got a lot of teams. I think that's what they posted was 125,000 teams, something like that.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Why not just go in-house and just take over the whole world, take over the whole country? Makes no sense. But anyways, I had this topic for a different day. I hate the word rev share.
I don't like rev share either.
Stupid.
Not a fan.
No. Who gets rev shares? Like, actually, legitimately. And if we're talking business,
I think Sunder's the only company I know that still does it that way.
I think, well, I guess when you hear the word, here's kind of, let me take a step back. When I hear the word rev share, it's revenue share distributions. Mm-hmm. And that's for executives. Like, I looked all this up. Executives, like, we're talking Fortune 500 companies, right? Mm-hmm. And the ones are the companies who are classified in the S&P 500, right? Like the companies that carry our country. They get revenue share distributions to high-end board members, executives, and that area. Yep. Why would a solar company say you get a revenue share? Like, why would I, Rick Martinez, this fucking kid from California selling solar,
sell this
like bottom of the totem pole, get a revenue share? It makes no sense. It's just a fancy, flashy word that makes you feel better than you actually are, and it's a way to keep you there.
Kind of have you heard like what Blue Raven does?
I almost forgot about them. No.
Yeah, they like, so like you make a sale, but they like pay it out over like a really, really long period of time.
Oh, yeah.
Give me $100 this week, and then like $100 the next week, and then like $100 the next week, and then like $100 the next week, and like, yeah, it's interesting to see how different companies structure things. I'm not gonna be anyone to be like, this is a bad pay model, this is a bad pay model, but if you want a transparent pay model, just go with the red line.
Yeah, for real.
It's the most transparent pay model, honestly, you know? And like some people are red line chasing, so like, the transparency gets messed up because certain companies are like, oh, we have a 1.8 red line, and then like you look at their adder sheet, but there's like a 20-cent adder for panels, and then like a 20-cent adder for an inverter, and it's like, how do you sell the system without inverter or panels?
Exactly.
Your red line's not a 1.8.
Nope.
You know, and then you like if you do anything besides one array, like that's an extra like $500, and it's like, you know, is that a true
more than one array? Yeah. When have you ran into? Sure, you've seen it, but the cost of construction, the cost of actually fulfilling these jobs is getting more and more expensive.
Way more expensive. Trying to find labor right now is like one of the hardest things. Finding like good installers, good electricians, like that is like a huge problem right now. And that's why like when people like, oh, I went to this company because XYZ redline, like you see how they're paying those guys, like you're going to get dog shit work for your homeowners, or if they are good, they're going to leave.
Yep, 100%. Because it just comes down to this, like as a business, if I'm a business and I give somebody a super low red line, but it's my business and I have to make sure that the job is getting installed correctly and my customers, the customers that I have to deal with are being taken care of, I have to pay the labor side. Like the labor side will get paid first and foremost every single time before any commission sales rep does. And that's where all the pay goes. And then reps are like, well, I didn't get paid this, they didn't pay me this. I'm like, well, that's your own fault.
Yeah, that's like the story of 2023 in the solar industry.
Yep.
So many people not paid. Everybody's trying to blast their companies on social media. It's like not worth it, you know?
No.
I'm owed money from 2 different companies, and I've never put anything on social media to talk about it. You know, it's like, it is what it is. You got to pay to play.
Yep, it is what it is. I love that. I love that phrase so much. My girlfriend hates how much I use it.
Yep.
And it just, there are things you can control. There are things you can't control. Yep. Everybody cries over spilled milk.
Yep. Can't control other people's checkbooks.
No.
You know?
Yeah, people just get, If you put yourself in that situation, it doesn't matter. Like, even like when I take the hits now, like, I'd rather it just come out of my paychecks because I never saw that money in the first place. It was never mine, never hit my bank account. I'm still good. I'm still covered. I can still pay my bills. I can still do everything I need to do. I just don't have extra spending money. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yep, everyone just starts counting their chickens before they hatch.
Yep.
Like, I have this many chickens. It's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Your chickens are over there.
Yep.
And they're actually not yours.
Yep.
They got somebody else's name on them.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh, the industry's so funny.
But there's like, I feel like the industry either promotes or exposes people as time goes on. And like, talking about the good side of things, like, I think we've seen a lot of promotion from some good people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people kind of doing their own things, and like, the whole RSA thing, like, you know, the Residential Solar Association coming together to like try to stick up for our industry is huge. I don't know if you've joined yet, but I'm joining.
No, they've actually never texted me, so hopefully
I can send you the link. It's voluntarily, and like you pay to get in, but it's like to help host spaces for us to all get together. But like, I think we've seen a lot of the good side of solar as well this year. People like fighting for the good guys, and instead of the bad guys. Like, so there are bad guys in solar, and there are good guys in solars, and like we're not all created equal. That's for damn sure. But I think we have seen a lot of good stuff come from the industry this year. Yeah. Like things like that, and groups coming together to try to protect the industry and like make this hit. Like, I don't think people see it coming. There's some shit that's about to come hit like when regulations hit, I don't think people understand that commissions will change. They will change.
Because once government gets involved, the government will take their hit and take their piece.
Exactly.
And the government gets paid first. I don't think people realize that. And guess what? We just get left the scraps.
Yep. So that's a big thing. So I think that's been kind of cool, is like seeing like people like Jens Bunnell and Danny Pesci, Alex Hall, Brandon Hall, Mike O'Donnell, you know, all these guys coming together to say like, how can we make the industry better and protect the industry that we're in? And I think that more people need to get involved into things like that, because like, we can't just let them fight for us. Like, we need to go fight for us. We need to go fight for our teams. We got to go fight for our companies. And if you are a good person in the industry, you're the person that needs to be there. if you're one of those sketchy salesmen that are using, dead people's social security numbers and shit like that,
selling
just
them
stay out of the room.
Yeah, just sell them at a 339 ppw.
Yep.
And tell them that a 4 kilowatt system is going to offset them completely.
Yeah, dude. It is wild. I've actually heard, I think it was Christian Maroney that just went to a house and that happened to in Texas. I feel like it's Texas that happens the most to.
Texas happens because it's deregulated. You have really crappy companies, RIP Deca and Lumio.
Are they fully out now?
Basically, last I heard. Well, this was a while ago, but we never see them. Like, there's no more teams from Lumio and Waco. Like, we ran out every team in Waco that's come through. But you never really see a Lumio rep anymore.
Yeah.
Florida, yeah. Florida is the only place you really see them. Arkansas,
yeah.
Like the random areas. But you have those. Who else was out there? Momentum, dying out.
Who does dude sells more deals than anybody else? Ricardo Ritchie. Who's he work for? Momentus or Momentum?
He probably started his own LLC and then
probably at
whatever.
This point. Yeah, he's crushing it. Shout out to him.
Mm-hmm.
500 deals last year. That's just insane.
Nuts. And anybody who can do that level of accounts, there is some respect that's due.
Dude, he just has like his setters, like they are like little workhorses, and they keep him scheduled all day, every day. And if something falls off, there's already something ready to go in the calendar. I think a lot of us could take something out of his book. I'll tell you that much.
For real.
I'd love to be a fly on his shoulder for a week.
For real. How to replicate that on the largest scale? That would be dope.
I think it would be really hard to do.
It's hard because it's just give and take.
Yeah.
You are either the 500 account rep that does everything solo with your setters and you keep your people as setters, or do you try and do 1,000 between three people?
Yep. There's going to take it.
Yeah. It's tough. It's respectable, but I think, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. There's no other way to put it.
Totally agree. I've ran a lot of setter teams, and it gets harder because I feel like the word setter is such a demoralizing word now.
Literally everyone's like, oh, I want to close and all these different things, but it's like
I've seen setters like make way more than closers though. Like that's the thing, is like everybody wants to be a closer or like thinks they need to be a closer to make all the money, and it's like I wish I could go back to setting sometimes because I could set it, forget it. I don't have the customer phone calls.
100%.
Like, I don't have to deal with the back end work. I don't have to get the update. I don't have to deal with the cancel. Like, whatever that is, like, you can go out and work 9 to 5 every single day, 6 days a week, and your schedule doesn't change.
Yeah.
When you're a closer, the family wants you there at 8 a.m., another family wants you there at 9 p.m., but then you're supposed to work in between, then you have your team meetings. Like, it takes so much more when it comes to being a closer, and some people make better closers than setters and vice versa. Like, we have this one dude on our team, Sherm. He's a killer in the house, like absolute stud. But you get him on the doors, and it's like, he's not that great on the doors, and he knows it, and he's working on it. But like, then we have like really awesome setters. Like I think I'm a dog of a setter. I think I can set better than I can close.
Same.
But like any company I work for, they're like, we're not letting you set. And I'm like, dude, it would just be so nice to actually, like, it's the only way where you can actually have a set schedule and door to door. Everyone's like, you get to make your own schedule. Well, you don't. You are literally, you have to be available when the homeowner's available. And then sometimes you're chasing people around, and it's a lot, Closing comes with a whole other set of responsibilities. So like if you're in a model where it's even like 30-70 or 40-60 as a setter, like that's great.
Yeah.
Like you literally getting paid to be on a doorstep for 15 minutes and somebody's spending 2 hours outside of that home.
Yep. And then the work after, if there's any work.
Yep. Oh, you have to do a change order. Oh, they need a roof. Oh, they want you to come back over and re-sign loan docs because their financing expired and now the interest rates went up and dealer fees change. And like, when you're a setter, you don't even hear about that stuff. And I think that's actually what one of the people ask is like closer versus setter, what's better? It's like neither position is better. The best position for you is the one that you're the best at.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like I one of the things that I have when I take recruiting calls, it's like, what does your progression look like? I'm like, I don't care. Like you pick it, just pick it and go with it. And I'm not going to keep you as a setter. I'm also not going to keep you from closing. If you go and you close and you say you don't like it, I'm not going to keep you there. Like, it's very much like, how do I put this? Like, I don't care, but I'm going to support you and I'm going to give you all the tools and resources you need to go be the best version of yourself. Whether that's a setter, whether that's a closer or a self-genner, a part-timer doing whatever you want, when you want. Yeah, hybrid.
Hybrid guys?
Yeah, we have some hybrid guys.
Yeah, like Matt on your team. Man, that kid's a killer. That kid is a crazy setter. Like he can put like 3 closers in a house at the same hour. Like Like, that's another thing is if you're a high volume setter and you can set like anywhere from 7 to 10 appointments a day, which we know is tough. Like, people are like, oh, this guy sets 10 a day. He probably set 10 a day like twice, and you're saying he sets 10 a day. But like, truly, if you do have a guy like that, he is way better off setting. He can have 2 closers in the house at the same time. Like, you can't hit 10 appointments in a day
100%. Unless
you're rushing through them, and most of them are going to cancel because you didn't spend enough time with them. But like, I've even had closers move back to setting since coming back with me, like Alexia, for example. Like, she's been a closer for 4 years. She came back to set because she's like, I have closers that close at over 80%. Yeah. And she knows she's not closing at that position. And yeah, if she went in and she could make more money closing it herself, but if she has to run 4 to get a deal and I need to run 2 to get a deal, think about it.
Yeah. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's the thing is people just, it's this thing of like coffee is for closers and the closers are this. Like I want to see a shift in the industry that focuses on setters.
I totally agree. Like, I think that setters are the backbone of any industry and like, or anything that you're doing. When I went to Massachusetts, their biggest thing that they were lacking was setters and leads. And like, I think everybody in the world knows Melissa Romiza can close a solar deal. But I went out and I was a setter for 2 weeks. I went out and I just set them. And dude, I can't tell you how great it was. It's like, oh, I can go home and have dinner with my family.
There's no pressure. Oh my God.
Dude, so
I
nice.
love like now it's like on the position where I'm at, like, and on the higher corporate level, it's like the amount of bullshit that I have to deal with. I miss knocking. And all the guys, they like come into my office. I'm like working on like 5 different projects that are due that weekend. They're like, dude, it must be so nice to sit in on your computer. I'm like, bro, if I don't turn this in, I get chewed out hard. And because I'm at this level, it's like my leaders don't hold back. And I don't expect them to hold back. Like, if I fuck up, I fuck up, and I get what comes to my way. And they're like, oh, it must be like so cool. I'm like, well, you guys knew, like, I would rather be knocking doors. It's so much simpler to knock doors. You go, you knock, they don't want it, go. Move on to the next one.
If you had to be like, Melissa, you either need to get on this call to change the entire pay scale for your office, which I'm kind of going through this right now, or you have to go out and knock. I'd be like, I do not want to deal with, like, for some people, you change pay scale, and some people are stoked, and some people are like, oh, you took money, I'm pissed. Like, that's different. Like, you're never going to keep everybody happy.
Exactly.
And like, as you get higher up, you start making those decisions, and they're tough decisions.
The pressure's fucking, the pressure is real.
Yeah, and it's like, you always want to do what's best for the company at the end of the day, because if the company's not healthy, like, your customers are screwed. But like, also, like, your reps, especially in a position like me, like, my reps are my best friends. It's like, the last thing I want to do is put any of them in a bad position or change something on them. But changes are constant, and they need to be made pretty frequently to stay afloat in the industry. I think we've seen that. Like, I guarantee you, Pure hasn't kept everything the exact same, and nothing has changed for 4 years, No.
For the setters, it's one thing that we do up here, we protect the setters over everything.
Yep.
The setters' pay is basically guaranteed. I've had situations where some of my reps have sold it and it made it through the system too low. And that gets added to a chargeback sheet. But the setter gets paid. But what was sold too low, the difference gets added to our chargeback sheets. And I've had to take that hit. But again, it just makes sure our setters are always guaranteed. The closers are the ones who are like, well, we got to change this, we got to change that. Yeah, the closers are the ones who suffer, really.
No, the setters eat first, always.
100%. And if they don't, like, you are literally taking the heart of your company and neglecting it.
I agree. That's why, like, with us, like if a setter sets a deal, like, I think we all know the M1s went away this year. No companies are getting M1s. If your company's still giving you M1s, be grateful.
100%.
And we still do M1s at Glide. But if the setter sets a deal and a closer closes it, the setter gets the M1. And that's just how it is, And like, I remember, like, that was something I thought was so cool at Glide, because as soon as, like, we knew we had to change X before, like, the setter was getting 1,000, the closer was getting 1,000. And they're like, hey, we have to switch it. We're not getting M1s, like EBITDA, blah, 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 company, whatever. It was so cool to see how many of the closers, like, were totally on that page of, like, yeah, give the setter some money.
Yeah, but everybody wants M1s. But most people don't know is that, did you know that there's, like, an interest charge for M1s from finance companies?
I mean, I don't doubt it.
And it's going up. When I first started, the M1 interest charge was like about 1%.
That is
last I heard, it was 6%. So you get charged 6% on top. So think of it as like a 6% adder to it, and just because you want to get upfront money.
That's why, like, when people come to the industry too, it's like, it's hard, right? When you're recruiting and you're telling people, like, you're trying to, like, nicely tell them, like, please have money in your bank account, because you're probably not going to see a check for your first couple of weeks. Like, how do you nicely say that to somebody? You're like, hey, look, like, this is a high risk, high reward industry, just to be completely, blunt with you. And we do recommend that, like, if, this is like, you need money right this second and you're looking for the fastest payouts, this isn't
not it. Yeah.
But it's like, I promise if you stack that pipeline and build it, it will change your life. Like, but it's like, Brandon's a king of like wording that. That's why sometimes in certain interviews I'm like, ooh, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's real and it's true. And like, people shouldn't try to get into solar if they don't have anything in their bank account at all. And I think when you talked about this, it's like, when do you move somebody to closing? And it's like, you don't want to move anybody to closing unless they have some money in their bank.
100%.
First and foremost.
Yeah, my guys, I have, if I recruit a rep and he starts off as a setter and he wants to move into closing, like, I sit down with him, obviously with him and whatever team that he's on, and we have the conversations like, dude, you got to have 6 months covered. Because if you don't, like, if they fail, it's not if they fail, they will fail. At some point or another, they will fail and they will fall on their face. If they have no money, who are they going to call? Yo, hey, man, I have rent due. Hey, like, my phone bill. Hey, like, my car payment. And it's not their fault. It's my fault. I let them get into that situation. I let them put themselves into that situation. And me, probably like you, that hurts.
Yeah.
So what do? If I do anything wrong, I try and find a way to rectify it. What's the best way for me to rectify it? How much is it? Dope. Send.
Yep.
But then you lose money. And it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
Yep. It's hard. And that's like another thing. Like, there's so many things with setter closer model that people don't think about. And that's one of them, is like moving from a setter to a closer. Like, you're not going to see most of your money. If your company does M1s, God bless them, but most don't. You're not going to see that money. Even in Texas, like, yes, you guys have fast installs, but
I wouldn't say the fastest. I mean,
yeah, like, usually it's going to be like 2 to 3 months before you see that money on average in the industry from like actually getting paid out. Like, oh, it took me only 3 weeks to get the install. Bro, you are not getting paid the day that the install hit.
No, you're
it's usually the following week or 2 weeks later, or depending on the lender, if you're with a PPA like Sonova, I mean, that's a whole other thing. I don't know if you guys use Sonova, but the amount of time they're taking to pay out the companies right now is
forever, because you have to take 25 different pictures that are all clear, and if any of them show up blurry, then they don't pay out.
You know how many companies have gone bankrupt this year because they ran out of cash flow because of that situation?
A lot.
The
thing is, they just don't know how to do it. And so your company has to stay in the green. They have to do all these things, and if not, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
I think that totally segues us into like finding the right company, especially going into a year. We just saw so many companies go bankrupt, and like just because you go to a company with the highest pay scale does not mean that they're the healthiest company. Like, not at all. Like, finding the right company is so important. Like, making sure, one, they're doing things ethically. Ethics are everything. Like, are they waiting until they have all permits and everything's approved? Yep. I had an install in Florida who literally, like, he's been installed since November, and they're like, oh, we're waiting for permitting approval.
It's like, bro.
I literally got the text today.
Bro.
I was like, it's been 3 months. Like, you guys installed this shit. Like, the loan's been funded. Like, this guy's going to get screwed. I'm going to have to pay it. Like, I'm the one, because I'm never going to, like, leave my customer hanging.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that the installer did that. I had no idea. I heard all great things. Everything's, Fugazi, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's great. But shit like that still happens to this day. People think it's like a fake story.
It happens.
And it's not necessarily the rep's fault either. Like, when you're picking a company, like, I didn't know it was my first install with that company, and that's what happened. Do you think I'm going to put another install through them ever again?
Nope.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Like, I will never, ever do that. So, like, making sure you're finding the right people, making sure they're ethical, making sure they actually give a shit about you and not how much you're making. And, like, if you go to a company and the first thing they address is the red line, you should run. Yeah. You should just leave.
Yep. And if you're a recruiter and the first question your recruit asks is money, send them somewhere else.
Everyone's red line chasing. I actually had a guy the other day. He was like, oh, I work with whatever installer. And they give me a $2 red line. So I just want to make sure I can get that if I come to you guys. And I was like, that is not us. We are not the low red line company. Like, like, if you want to have an office that has nice stuff in there and chairs and TVs, and I got to pay that office rent, and you want incentives and swag and gear and all, like, that stuff costs money. Yeah. Like, and that needs to be buffered into the red line to make sure you're taken care of. And like, everybody wants to be a leader and make overrides. That's also buffered into a red line. Like, people don't want to talk about it, but it's a real thing. Just because leaders are making an override doesn't mean they're greedy, but it means that they're putting their ass on the line time and time again for these reps. usually to get their face kicked in.
Yep.
And like I said, when I was at Click, dude, they were giving me like, and I was paid higher than everybody else. I got $40 a kilowatt only on people in my office that weren't in management. Kayla was considered a manager. They didn't put her in management, so I didn't get an override on Kayla.
Damn.
I didn't get it on Brandon. And like we were putting in like maybe 80 to 100 deals a month, but of those 80 to 100 deals, I was putting up 30 to 40 of them. And then Kayla and Brandon are putting up the other 20 to 30. So I'm getting paid out maybe on 20 deals override.
At what?
At
$40 a kilowatt?
$40 a kilowatt. Like, I mean, let's do the math. And we have cancels. So let's be realistic. Let's say 10.
Yeah.
10 times 40 times the average system of like a 5 kilowatt, maybe a 6.
Yeah.
Again, $2,000 a month as the highest paid employee at a company.
That
like,
is
guys,
ridiculous.
like to deal with stuff, to go pick up reps, to pay for their food, to make sure they're taken care of.
But not okay. But to be fair, the PPWs are significantly higher in Colorado. Yes. So to only get paid that, like, that's insulting. So, like, what? Okay, if you can go back with the information you have right now, and you were shopping, what are some criteria for you?
I mean, there was a lot of things I looked at when I was shopping companies. Like, one, who runs the company? Like, number one, who's at the top? Are they people that I can look up to? Are they people I want to be like? Are they people I want to be around?
Okay.
That, to me, like, when people say people over profit, there's so much bullshit with a lot of people. Like, truly, like, I'm not glad because of the level of leadership that's here. Two, like, do they run their own operations or do they not run their own operations? Or is there a good mix of both of those? And if there is, like, who are you guys working with? Like, actually getting to understand the installers, checking out Glassdoor, I think is so eye-opening, is a big thing. Not a lot of companies are going to give this to a lot of reps, but figuring out what the profitability of the company is. Just make sure that you're putting yourself and your reps in a good position and that they're not going to go out of business and like they're staying healthy. But that also can like justify like why maybe they're not spending money on certain things where you're like, hey, at the end of the day, and if it's the best thing for my company is my customers going to be taken care of. They are, you know, and like those are important things. But also like so much has changed in solar that I think that finding a company that's doing stuff outside of solar, like whether that's alarms, energy efficiency, making sure the customer's helped out with taxes and things like that. I think that that's really important too, is to have a second offering. Just with how much has changed, I don't think it's a bad thing to have options. I'm not saying you need to go to the company that's selling HVAC and fucking windows and roofing and siding and all of that. I'm just saying having maybe other options. Like, I don't know if you guys can sell roofs with your systems, but like when I was at Click, I couldn't. It was just solar. That was it. Nothing else. And now it's like with Glide, it's like I can do insulation, I can do attic seal, I can do aero seal, I can do attic fans, I can help them out with their taxes, I can do a perfect power box, a static shield, I can do roofs, I can, you know, and like that brings so much more value to
you as a person.
It's insane. Like, I could have your roofs. I probably didn't. I never made a penny on it.
That's insane.
Dude.
That's insane.
Dozens of roofs. Never made a penny on them. It's crazy to think about. And yeah, I mean, roof commissions are getting pretty damn close to solar commissions at this point.
Yep. That's actually one of the things. So my old roommate, he's like one of my best friends now. I help him out with his roofing company.
Yep.
Right. Good guy, kind of structure some things out, or help him structure some things out, and he let me in a while back, and yeah, it's pretty profitable.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm also pretty good. I feel like pretty good at reading people.
Yeah,
and like making sure like you get this feeling of like, hey, they're going to take care of me. They're going to take care of my customer. But like the vision that they have casted for the company is something that aligns with me. I think it's super important. And I think if you're a high value person, you bring value to the company, a lot of value, making sure there's something besides that that's in it for you. And I'm sure we all know what that is. But there's certain companies that if you do the right thing, if you stay loyal, if you build them, if you grow them, there's equity opportunities. And everybody talks about equity opportunities. Make sure they actually have an exit plan. Because equity doesn't mean shit without an exit plan. Everyone's like, oh, we're a sales org, we give equity. It's like these dealer programs. It's like, how many people do they give equity to? You're hanging out for $40,000? Like,
for real.
You know, like, whereas if you go to a company like Pure that has their own operations and their own software and like all these things, like their valuation is probably crazy high. So like, it's like finding that right opportunity too, which like isn't talked about. And I think everybody's throwing around the word equity left and right in the industry. Like it's a, you know, like it's just big thing, but equity doesn't mean shit if there is no plan to.
Yep, exactly, 100%. I was given equity at the first solar company I ever worked with.
Yeah.
And like, I got it because I was loyal. And that didn't pan out.
If they don't have a plan, it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
You know? And if they haven't even told their leaders what that plan is.
Yep, and that was kind of where it was at. It's like, in my mind, that was, 2016 was when I left that company. And I had just signed my equity docs like 6 months prior. And they were going to go for $100 million, right? And I was like, okay, dope. I helped them. Funny enough, Sam Taggart came to that company whenever he left Vivint. He came with us, and then he broke off and started doing something else, went with another company. But I helped open up Utah for that company. I helped open up Oregon for this company. I helped open up Colorado and Texas and Arizona. There was no really real plan as to how I was going to get paid out. And then I actually looked at what it was and everything that I did. No.
Yeah, you have a lawyer look at that contract and like, dude, this doesn't mean shit. And you're sweet. Or like, you have to do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. This is an equity contract, but if you don't complete all of these things, you're not getting it. You know? So, yeah, I mean, I definitely spent some time before making the switch, but like, for me, at least with Glide, like, I love Alex, I love Brandon, and I love Shalev. Like, those are people I can totally get behind. And, you know, like, nothing's perfect, so don't ever expect to go to a company and this grass is going to be, like, super flourishing green. Like, you have to water that shit. Like, it's dead. It's actually dead grass that you're going over to, and it's your job to water it and turn it green. Because I left a very nice lawn, and that's how I've described it to a couple people when they're like, why'd you leave? And I was like, I feel like I lived in this townhouse, right? And I had the greenest lawn, and it was mowed to perfection, and it was trimmed and edged, but it was a very small lawn. And then when I came to Glide, they gave me a football field that was dead. And I had to go re-landscape it. And I'm going through that process right now. You know, I'm putting down the saw.
I feel that at such a spiritual level.
Yeah, it's like the best way I could like describe it. You know, like that's how it is. And then, like I encourage anybody who's just like just getting into the space is to find like honestly kind of a bigger company, get paid like dog shit, learn the ropes, and then once you know what the hell you're doing, because they'll secure your pay. They'll make sure there's some kind of security blanket there for them. But once you can secure your own pay, and you don't need security blanket, you're getting sick pay, and you're getting
oh my god,
you got that W pay, bro. We're paying you $20 an hour at 100 a sale, but like it is security pay, and then once you get good at it, leave that shit and go somewhere that's more high risk, high reward, because that shit is low risk, low reward. Like, you know, there's like that exists in solar. There's low risk, low reward. There's medium risk, medium reward, and then there's high risk, high reward. And like the people that like do crazy usually in solar end up with the high risk, high rewards. You know. And then they're usually trying to build something for their guys with like medium risk, medium reward. You know?
One of the things that I would also want to throw in is you don't have to be like this owner per se, or you don't have to be like this high ranking person in a company. Like you can go grow with a medium sized company and live the best life that you want.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the crazy thing is like people like you, people like myself, people like the people we hang out with, we're just driven for more. Like if you're listening to this and that's not you, you don't have to do that.
No one's judging you.
No one's judging you. Like I support so many people who are like a middle-sized company, but I see them post with stuff about their family, they're on vacations, financially, they're good, and it's like, dude, I love that.
Happy family.
I love that. I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. Like I'm glad that you found that and that's what you wanted. You got what you wanted. And it didn't have to mean like going and doing these massive things.
Yeah, and you don't have to. Like some people stay at the same company forever, but they're happy there, and like the company's taking care of them. Like I don't recommend anybody to leave their company unless you're genuinely just like unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think like you'll realize like people usually don't leave companies, so it's normally not the company you're unhappy with. It's
the leader.
It's the leader.
Yep.
You know, people don't quit companies, they quit management.
Yep.
And it's the realest thing I've ever heard. And like, I see it all the time, man. Like my office that I first worked in, that Ion, dude, there's nobody in that office that was there when I started. Even like, And it was because of the leadership. Like, we didn't have strong leaders. They didn't go out and knock with us. They didn't believe in it. They're so high up. They get fed appointments. It doesn't matter. But like, I knew when I got into leadership, I knew the leader I didn't want to be. It's not like I knew the leader I wanted to be, but I knew the leader I didn't want to be. And I knew I never wanted to be a leader that sat back and did nothing, that didn't go out and work with my guys, that didn't show them what was possible. Because like, none of my leaders at my last company or my first company or any of my past companies showed me what was possible. You know, like, my higher ups never knocked with me at any company I'd ever been with. Alex has come out and knocked with me.
That's dope.
You know, she's come out. I put her on a Segway and I said, let's go. If you can't ride this thing, you need to jog next to me. And like, she came out, and like, that's something I commend her for, because every company I worked at previously, I've never had a higher up take me out ever. Not once.
I love that. And as the leader, because now, I mean, you aren't taking appointments anymore. You're kind of like the last person. And
no, I still take appointments, but I try to feed my guys first.
Yeah.
So like, if I'll go out and self-gen for myself, I'll go out and knock, and I'll set for other people too. But like, yeah, I'm not running 6 appointments a day like I used to. It's like maybe 1 or 2, while I'm also like recruiting and building and, you know, things like that. But I still have to go out and set an example. I believe somebody does. Yeah. I truly believe, and God forbid if you don't agree with this, but I believe that no matter what fucking position you're on in the company, you go out and knock doors and you fucking close deals. I don't care if you're the owner. I don't care if you're the VP. Shalev fucking has still gone out and to see. So like, that's just how I've always been. And I think if I ever had a month where I didn't sell a deal, which hasn't happened in the last 3 years, I've gone a whole month and not close a deal, I would feel like shit, because Instagram holds me accountable, and Instagram's waiting for the pow pow. You know, like they're waiting to see it. And if they don't, they're like, girl, are you good? Are you alive? Is everything okay? And there's a lot of girls in the industry who look up to me, and I need to be that for them.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for that. There's so many people like, hold you in very, very high regards. Very high regards. And that's super dope to see that you still do that. It's like people I highly respect. A lot of them are doing the exact same thing. Yeah. You, O'Donnell, Sully,
dude, River
Blake,
Skinner.
River's
crushing.
Fuck, dude.
I don't know how we forgot his name, but I watched him, dude. And
River's one of those that kind of fell off, but I don't think he ever really did fall off. I think he just stopped posting.
Yeah, I don't think he publicized it, but he goes out on a blitz, and that guy like
cranks,
and he self-gens everything. He doesn't take appointments. Like, I think he's one of the baddest dogs in the industry. Like, I would love to pick his brain for an hour or two. You know, like, it's kind of crazy how we get on Instagram. Like, we don't even really know these people, but you can respect how they post, what they post, what they don't post. Like, he's not out there flashing around his car. Yeah. When he does, it's like a beat down 2008 Hyundai that he drives around the country. You know, and this guy's making $1 million a year selling solar. And it's like, I love people like that are like so humble. Like, I remember when I bought my Tesla, and my friend's like, oh, I didn't know you had a Tesla, because I don't post it on social media. And then I got a social media team like, you need to post it, you need to put it. I'm like, dude, I won't. If you guys want to put it on there, you can. You will never see an edited video that I made. My team has put it on there, but like, I don't wear flashy shit. Like, dude, I'm guessing wearing like all Glide stuff, but like, most of the stuff I wear is from like Amazon, like Cheapo Depot bullshit. Like, it's just how I've been. Like,
dude, you and Blake are literally like the same person, and that's so funny. Because like, it feels like I'm talking to Blake right now.
Hell yeah. I love Blake. Blake's a good ass dude too. I remember he was a good he won like Good Leap's like #1 rep or something a couple years ago. And then I had Sunlight call me last year, like, you're our #1 rep. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, I remember hearing Blake did something like this. I've never had a loan company call me and tell me I have more loans than anybody else. Like, that's pretty sweet. Shout out Sunlight. I know they're going through it, but dude, I've gotten a trip to Fiji from them, a trip to Aspen, TVs, fucking vacuums, grills, smokers. You name it. Pressure washer from the Sunlight Rewards points that you got. So much shit, dude.
That's dope.
But my phone's from Sunlight.
Really?
Yeah. Sunlight Rewards. Oh, like, I know Sam really doesn't like when people wear their company logos. And like, my closet is all solar companies, and most of them like Tyco Energy, my fifth company, Simple Solar. I went and talked to them. Quick, you know,
literally,
Glide. I'm like, fuck, I'm supposed to wear? Shut the fluff up. I'm like, I can wear Shut the Fluff Up. Yeah, it's not a solar company. I'm not in trouble for that.
That was my hard thing, transitioning out of. Well, now I have to buy my own stuff because most solar company stuff don't fit me. Yep, I was a big dude.
Yep. Yeah, we had to get some custom gear for my cousin. He was like a 6XL.
Bro, okay, one bone. One bone for bigger guys. If you have big guys, it's a little pricey, but that's like what this shirt is.
One bone?
One bone. It's like made for bigger dudes.
Interesting.
It's tighter around the arms. It's longer around here because your cousin probably hates that the shirt comes up. Yeah.
Yep.
Any big dudes that you have, it's a little bit pricier, but the big dudes will love you.
Heck yeah. Good to know.
Shout out One Bone. Please sponsor me.
Yeah. Right? Oh,
I rock their shit all the time.
It's always funny when you're ordering gear too, especially when you have girls on your team. You're like we have a lot of tomboys on our team. Like a lot of girls on the team are gay, and you're like, do you want girls shirts or boy shirts? You know, like you gotta figure that out. So it's always funny that they. Yeah, it was good though.
Yeah. I'll have to talk to Jake about my goodie bag.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, but still, goodie bags are goodie bags.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. It's like less money to spend on clothes.
Yeah, 100%, dude. All my clothes are pretty much given to me at this point. Like
and shoes.
Yeah,
bro, that's how I was for the longest time.
These are an incentive.
Yeah, incentive shoes for days.
Yep. Everything, dude. This hat, like I made Glide custom make these hats because this companies don't make these hats.
Yeah, they don't. No, they don't. Yeah.
I had them custom made with my name on. I didn't really necessarily want the name on it, but like this is the only brand hat I really like to wear. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they custom made them. But that's like how my whole wardrobe is, which I'm sure your reps get at this point.
Yeah, which makes, again, once is crazy because so many top performers have this thing of like simplicity. You know what you like and you wear it.
All the time.
No decision fatigue on like what I'm going to wear today, any of that fancy bullshit. You just like, I like this. If it's cheap, if it's comfy, I'll wear it.
Yeah, like all the khakis you see me wearing, those are from Amazon, bro.
Really?
Those are from fucking Amazon. I order my shit off of Amazon for clothing.
Hell yeah. Shit, how much time are we at? Okay, let's wrap it up with two more things. Funniest story, door to door.
I was knocking in Milliken, Colorado in 2018. I just switched over to Click and knock on this guy's door, sign him up for a solar appointment, go to the direct next door neighbor, pitch him on solar, and he's like, nope, would never do it. I work for the utility company, works for Excel. And I'm just like sitting there, I'm going to continue to talk to him because I was like, dude, this guy's a perfect, he's just facing weird. Like, why would he not do this? And I'm like, oh, I like your tattoo. And he's like, oh, I got this when I was in the Army and like this when I was in the Navy. And I was like, oh, no way. We're actually veteran ran and operated. We give all vets a check for working with us. So I just want to thank you for your service. He's like, you guys do what? And I was like, yeah, we have an incentive check for anybody that actually moves forward with any reports that we're able to submit for them. He's like, oh, sign me up then. So I get the lead and he's just staring at me, like uncomfortably staring at me. And I have this kid behind me and he was like, I remember even asking him, I was like, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? And he was like, I have a question. And I was like, yeah, what's up, man? And he was like, when's the last time you went to a chiropractor? And I'm like looked at Quinn and I was like, never. And he was like, come here. And the guy's like, pretty much like from me to you. And he's like, step closer. And I like take this like little tiny baby step. And I'm like, yeah, here we go. And he was like, no, like come here. And I like look back at Quinn. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to show this kid I'll do anything to get a solar lead. So I go up to this guy, he grabs my head, and he's like cracks the shit out of my head, and I'm like, okay, awesome. I literally just put my whole life in your hands. Like, you better not ghost me on this appointment.
Yeah.
So I go to his house the next day. I get in the house, and we're selling the appointment, and I'm like explaining solar while I'm like on the ground, and he's cracking my back, and cracking my hips, and cracking my neck, and cracking my legs. And we're signing him up. And I remember I signed him up through, back then it was Loan Pal.
Yeah.
Signing
shit
him up
forever ago.
Yeah. And it was like a $40-something thousand system. I got approved for like $38,311.17. Like something super specific and super weird that I've never seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And I called my boss. I'm like, what the fuck do we do? Because like back at Click, you don't like get to fuck with the red line. Mm-hmm. So he was like, just sell it. We'll take care of it. So I sell the deal. And on my way out, I'm walking. I was like, oh, I have one more thing I got to tell you. I was like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, I'm not a chiropractor. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, but she's a massage therapist. And I was like, dude, I hope I never see you again. Like, closed the door, walked out. Never have ever had that happen in my entire life.
What the fuck?
Yes, dude, he cracked every crevice of my body. I was literally on the floor in his home. Like, and yeah, and he's like pulling my legs and my hips and a crack. Yeah, it was bonkers. I could call Quinn to this day and he could tell you about it. It was wild.
Did it actually feel good after the fact?
I think. I honestly was so sketched out by it at that point that I was just
fuck.
Get me the fuck out of this neighborhood. I'll never forget. It was on Depot Street in Milliken.
Oh my God.
I could show it to you right now on a map. I could call Quinn right now. He'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was weird as shit. Fun. new hire. He's like, is that normal? And I was like, hell no,
No.
that's not normal. Like, people don't put their hands on me.
Yeah, especially a fake chiropractor.
Yeah. He's just passionate about chiropractic. He's correct. But yeah.
The hell?
So yeah, that was my funniest story.
Did the system ever get installed?
Oh yeah, it's installed. Like,
Okay, no, badass.
Yeah, I could literally show it to you right now. It's him and his neighbor. I installed both of them because I sold both of them solar, which was crazy. I actually had to do an add-on system too for his neighbor down the road because I sold it before they had any usage, and I sold it at like 100. And back then we couldn't go above 100. Right there. So that's when I had to do the add-ons this month. That's the guy who cracked my neck.
Gosh.
Yep.
Bless his heart.
Yep. Sold a bunch of the solar. That's in that neighborhood though. That was a good little area, but
That's dope.
yeah.
Shit. Ooh. Well, that probably takes the cake for the most interesting story.
I mean, I've had other interesting stories, but they weren't me. And I probably shouldn't say them because they're blackmail after the fact.
Yeah.
And we had a guy send like a dick pic to one of the girls on our team. And she called me. I was actually walking into a police officer's house at the time, and she was like crying. And I was like, what's going on? She's like, I just got an unsolicited dick pic, and I don't know who it's from. It's from a Text Now app, but somebody looked at my rep card 30 seconds before it was sent. And I was like, tell me whose information it was. So I called the guy. I'm like, hi, Michael. My name's Melissa Romiza. I'm the regional director of sales over at Click Solar. I was just calling because you felt it was necessary to send a picture of your penis to one of our representatives. I just want to let you know that we don't take these situations very lightly. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. You can either you can talk with our lawyer or the police officer, whichever one you would prefer. Please give me a call back to know where I should direct that call. Calls me back. He's freaking out. I was like, please don't call the cops. Please don't call anybody. Like, I'll do anything. And I was like, well, Karen lost money today by not going out to work, and she's uncomfortable going out to work. And she probably lost like $1,000 doing that. So if you want to pay her back, yeah, we won't call the lawyer or the police. And he paid us back $1,000 to not talk.
Shit.
I have the messages. I could show it to you.
That's wild.
Yeah. That guy lives in Keensburg.
Crazy how you know all these cities.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
I've got a crazy memory, dude.
Yeah, for real. That's nuts.
I feel like when you've done door to door, they're like, you remember that shit.
It's also like, okay, so you probably remember, because I remember a lot of weird shit.
Yep.
Do you think most of your memory recollection is based upon like weird stuff that happens?
Yeah, I would say yeah. And like I remember like it's either like weird shit or like totally shit that made me like super uncomfortable, or like I fucking hated getting a door slammed or getting like cussed out about a listening sign, and they like wouldn't let me leave, and they're calling the cops and stuff like that. I mean, I think everybody has one of those stories where the police showed up. Like, God, I've had the cops called on me like 9 or 10 times at this point.
Yeah,
and it's like it's funny at this point to me, but I remember the first couple times like it's scary. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just doing my job. Is this normal? Like, I've never had the cops called on me at work. You know?
Yeah. I remember one time I was sitting in Temecula, California. I know exactly the street. It's in Temecula Hills. I knocked this lady's house. It was hot as balls. And she had shade. And I was like, frick. I've gone 4 or 5 hours, nothing. So she had a bench. I sat there. I'm like, okay, let me just collect myself. That was my mistake. I go back to my car. I knock a few more doors. I finish off that street, and then I go back to my car. 4 police cars just roll up on me as I'm eating my freaking meal prep. And they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, eating chicken? Yeah. And they're like, and they pull me out of my car, or they not pull me out. They asked me to get out, and they start talking to me. I'm like, did you just knock on a house? I'm like, yeah, I've knocked on hella doors today. Which one? And they're like, well, we got a call about this lady who said you knocked her door. It was unsolicited. You were like this sketchy looking dude. And I'm like wearing badges, my HIS license and everything. And she's like, she called us, and she on the phone said that he's sitting outside the door, and she had a gun in her hand, like loaded. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And they're like, no, are you good? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm just doing solar. And they're like, have you done anything in here? I'm like, yeah, I have. Like, there's a cul-de-sac like right down the street from there. I had done all but 3 houses were installed by me.
Wow.
And then anyways, they get my side, then they go and they chew her out.
Yep.
But that was like weird. I'm like literally eating my meal prep, having like the worst day of my life. And a couple was like, you almost just got shot. And I'm like, well, I would rather that, because that's how bad my day is today.
You're just like, fuck, dude, it's been such a hard day. I get that.
So it's such a long time ago. Last thing before we end. this time, because we're going to have more podcasts in the future together. Okay. So you started back in 2017?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you remember the night before your first meeting?
I remember the night before I went in for like my interview.
Yeah.
Ended up this is what I wear. And I'm wearing like coach shoes and like, nice dress pants and like a pea coat. And I remember just being like, I really hope this is legit. You know, I hope this isn't a fake job.
Okay. If you can go back, maybe at one point you were sitting down somewhere where you're having these thoughts. If you can go back right now and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Honestly, one, go all in. I feel like I didn't go all in for a while. But two, I was so scared to ask for help. So like, I wish I told myself, like, if things get hard, there's people that are already doing it, like lean on them. Like I wouldn't tell anybody I was struggling. I wouldn't tell anybody I was having a really hard time. Like my first couple of weeks, I was like, I'm going to quit. 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 This job is stupid. No one's buying. No one likes me. No one's answering. And I think I had a lot of really negative self-talk. I wish I had a little bit more positive self-talk, because it wasn't until I got my first sale that I started talking to myself more positively. It was like everything sucked. Woe was me. Fuck this job. Fuck this company. But then I got a sale. I was like, oh, this is legit. Okay. You know, like, and then like you always like, you get this like spark of energy, like this rush. But I wish more than anything that I asked for help. I think I would have gone way better, way faster, because most people didn't know my name until about 2 to 3 years ago. I've been doing solar for 8 years. Nobody knew about those first 5 years. Yeah. No one saw it. No one heard about it. And it's because I didn't ask anybody for help. I didn't publicize anything. I didn't do any of that stuff. So, I mean, if you're new and you're getting into the game, even if you're a month, 2 months, even a year in, ask for help. Go find the best person on your team. Go find a coach. Hit us up on Instagram.
Yeah,
like,
for
we're
real.
happy to help you. Like, I've answered every single person's DMs that has ever messaged me about anything.
Same.
And there are people in this industry that want to see nothing more than for you to win, because the more people that we have winning in this industry, the better it is for everybody. It truly is.
Yeah.
You know, and humbly winning, you know, like there's not enough of that. I think there's a lot of people trying to call each other out right now in the industry and like belittle people, when like right now more than ever, we need to come together and like positively reinforce people. And there's just not enough of it.
I love that. And with that, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Melissa, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
This is a long time due. And yeah, we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
See you guys later.